Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Ask StreamYard. So excited to see all of you here today hanging out with me live. We're actually live this time, so I don't know if you caught last week's episode, but we actually used the pre-recorded feature inside StreamYard because I was traveling. I was literally landing in an airport when the show was supposed to go live. So we did something different. We tried something new where we pre-recorded the episode and we streamed it live, but it was a pre-recording. So maybe you caught that episode. Not sure if you did or not, but we are live today. We are hanging out. I am with you today, hanging out with all of you wonderful people. We've got awesome people in the audience today, including we got Jim Lawyers here. Jim, haven't seen you here for a while. We got, we've got Nancy Lewis Hill is here. It's great to see you, Nancy. I haven't seen you in so long. Are you going to be at Social Media Marketing World? I'm curious if you'll be there. So Mario's here as well. We've got Rachel Johnson here, of course, hanging out with us. All kinds of people here hanging out. You guys are ready to go. Kathy says, how was your vacation? I think that Christian was in the comments trying to say I was on vacation. I was actually not on vacation. It was actually a work trip. So I was I went down to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that was my first time in Chattanooga. I absolutely loved it. It was awesome. So it was actually a little work trip, a little bit of business, meeting with some clients and doing some stuff. So all kinds of great people here. This is going to be great. This is going to be super, 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 super fun. So we are going to pretty much dive right in, actually. So today's topic, we're actually going to be talking about resetting the room, right? And so some of you are like, what does that even mean? Which is totally fine. So we're going to talk about what this is, and I'm going to give you some pretty simple ways and some methods to reset the room. We're also going to talk about why this is important for you to understand if you should reset the room and whatnot. So definitely going to jump into that today. But before we get started, this is the Ask StreamYard show where we actually take your questions and we like to take a deep dive with them. I'm your host, Melanie Diane Howe, as I said. And if you would like one of your questions to be featured in an upcoming show, the best way for you to do that is to make sure you're part of our Facebook community, post your question in there, and use the hashtag Ask StreamYard, and we will actually look for those questions. If we find a question that we think is a good fit for the episode, as I said, I like to take a deep dive on it, and we'll pick it, and we'll send you a t-shirt, and we will do just that. So today we are going to be talking about resetting the room because, in fact, this question came up while I was live a few weeks ago, and I was like, that's such a good idea. That's such a good question. Will you please go post that? We would love to feature that as an Ask StreamYard. So Keith did just that. He actually was on the live with me in the comments, and he brought this topic up. So Keith is the technical director for Damn Short Film Festival. He was on the live stream. He says, he said, she told me to post a question. The question is, our Q&As are an hour long. Being that is a good to reset the room, how and when do you do it, right? And so here's the deal. We're going to talk about this. So what does it even mean to reset the room? So when you're live streaming, okay, some people are going to come in the beginning of your show, especially if it's pre-recorded, especially if it's pre-recorded. They're going to come into your show, and they're going to come in when you get started because maybe they clicked on get notified or whatnot. Now, other people are going to join later in the show. Now, some people are going to hang out with you the whole time. Hopefully you all will hang out with me during this entire episode. And then some people will kind of come and go. So because of the nature of that, and because you are live, resetting the room is essentially welcoming people who have just joined you. So I want you to kind of imagine that you are literally sitting in a room and you're standing on a stage, and you've got people who are here, they're there, they're ready for you. You start the conversation. And then some people kind of get up and they leave, and then other people start coming in, but you are like halfway through your content, if you will. Maybe they're walking by and they said, "What's going on in here?" And they popped in. You would reset the room to kind of let them know what's going on, right? Now, it's different when you're in a physical space with people. You can see people come and go. So come on in, sit down right here. There's a couple seats right here for you. We're talking about resetting the room today. That would be what you would do in that environment, right? But when you're live, you can't necessarily see your audience come and go. And so what resetting the room is you are essentially letting everyone know, reminding everyone what your topic or what your content is about. Now, the other benefit to doing this is not only to let those coming in know what you're talking about, what's going on, but also to kind of regain your focus. So sometimes when you do live streams and you talk and you get going, you got Q&A, you got people, asking questions, or whether they are on topic or whether they're not on topic. Sometimes you can sort of get off topic or off track. You can do this especially when you have guests. This can happen when you have guests on your show. Sometimes things just get a little off. When you reset the room, you're also bringing the conversation back to the original objective. So resetting the room has many benefits, and it is a method. There are ways to do this. So it's also one of those things where people are commenting, and as you're addressing people in the comments, one of those things is going to happen where you're going to change your flow. Let's say you have 5 key points that you're going to get through. Between each point, you might address your audience in the comments, right? And when you go back to getting to your key point, you're probably going to do a reset of the room at that point, meaning you're going to say, all right, let's keep moving. Let's get to the next point. If you're just joining us, we're talking about whatever it is you're talking about. So that's a little verbal example of how you would reset the room. So hopefully that makes sense now to most of you about what it even is to reset the room. So speaking of comments, I definitely want to check in on everybody for sure. So Stai's here. Great to see you, Stai, tuning in with us, as hanging out with us today. So if you guys have questions about this topic today, please feel free to post them in the comments. We definitely want to talk about resetting the room today. We want to stay on that topic. So if I have time to answer other questions, I certainly can do that. But I see we've got a couple questions about the background music, some copyright stuff. We probably won't get to those questions today because, as I mentioned, today's live stream is about resetting the room. So definitely want to know if you guys have questions about that, right? Well, hello, Alvin. It's great to see you here again, live with us, of course. And Parker is here too. Good to see you too. It's always good to see return people. I love it when everybody comes back. That's one of my favorite things about being live and being live regularly is that you get to know your audience and you get to see people come back and return to your show. So it's great to see so many of you coming back and talking with us today. So, okay, let me talk about a couple ways that you can reset the room. Because again, we're answering essentially Keith's question. He wanted to know, hey, he's talking about doing it during Q&As. He says his Q&As are an hour long. So he wants to know how and when you would reset the room. So Q&As are one of those things where Q&As kind of, they can be done in different ways. There's different methods to hosting a live Q&A. Many times a live Q&A can be topic driven, meaning you have a topic and it's very focused on that topic. Other times they can just be super open, like an open live Q&A where it's like, ask whatever you want about these things, right? That's more open. Other times a Q&A might be a segment of your live stream, meaning maybe you come on, maybe you have a guest, you and your guest go through some stuff, and then you have a Q&A after that guest is done presenting whatever they were going to present. That's, of course, just one example. So given that Keith mentioned that his Q&As are an hour long, it sounds like it's more of a general Q&A. So he's asking, when would you reset the room? How would you go about doing it? When it comes to Q&A, the Q&A is driving your content, meaning the stuff you're going to be talking about is literally organic in the moment from your audience in the live comments. And so there isn't a resetting the room per se. It may not be about a topic. You may say something like, hey, if you're just not joining us, we're doing a live Q&A today. So post your questions in the comments, put a Q in the front of it, and I'll grab it and get to your question when I can. That would be an example of resetting the room. You're giving instruction. Okay, so there's lots of methods, again, to resetting the room. So in a Q&A, I like that. Also in a Q&A, you are essentially controlling how you want your viewers to act. Sometimes resetting the room is actually, like I said, giving instructions. And so you're letting them know how to get their question posted, how to get it addressed. And also you might use it as those resetting of the room as a nice time to remind everyone why you're here. So the other example of resetting the room sometimes can actually be what I like to call a midstream commercial. So I do think that it's nice if you have reminders, if you have things going on in your business or in your live stream, maybe you want to remind people, hey, if you're tuning in and you're finding this helpful, go ahead and share this live stream so that more people can see it. Or if you haven't subscribed already, I'd love for you to subscribe to my channel. Let me tell you a little bit about myself and what my channel is about. Those are what I call little pattern interrupts. Those are like little midstream commercials. Each time you do something like that, if you have a call to action or an announcement that you want people to know about, when you're done with that midstream commercial, you're going to need to reset the room again, meaning get it back to the topic, right? And so that's definitely one of those things. Alex says, I love that midstream commercial. Yeah, I mean, it's what you got to do sometimes, right? So there's definitely a lot of times that you have things that are going on in your business, in your channel, in your streams, in your organization. And you should use your captive audience you should use your live streams when you have that captive audience as a time to let them know. For example, it's one of those things where, so Nancy, I had to ask Nancy earlier if she was going to be going to Social Media Marketing World. StreamYard is going to be at Social Media Marketing World. So I'm really excited to go with the StreamYard team and be a part of it. So we've got Christian will be there, Julie Riley will be there, Joanne Watt will be there, I will be there, Dana Benz is going to be there, and I think even a couple more people are actually going to be there from the team. We're super excited. We're going to have a booth, we're going to have a little party, and we're going to be hanging out. And so if you're going to Social Media Marketing World, we definitely want to make sure that you come and say hi. We'd love to connect with you while we're there. So that's a moment where I'm taking a comment because I had mentioned this to Nancy, and I did want to talk about that. I did want to mention that because in a couple weeks, we'll be in San Diego while Ask StreamYard's going on. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a different show format that week as well. But I'm kind of going off topic, right? Meaning I'm addressing something that has nothing to do with today's stream, but I'm using this comment as a moment to say, hey, we're going to Social Media Marketing World. We're super excited. Now we're super sad that Nancy's not going to be there because I would have loved to have met Nancy in person. I've connected with Nancy virtually over the last year, but this is one of those moments where the comment is taking something and it's reminding me to let everybody know we will be there, right? But it's off topic. So when I'm done with this and addressing the Social Media Marketing World thing, I'm going to need to reset the room. I'm going to need to say, super cool. So if you guys are going, let us know for sure. But let's get back to it, shall we? So today we are actually we're talking about resetting the room. So this is very meta, the way I'm doing this, by the way. So hopefully you're following along, but okay, cool. So San Diego had me dealing with FOMO enough, right? So yeah, pretty excited about I'm pretty excited about the weather as well. But so the whole point is that the other things that you might do in the middle of your streams is you might have something like I mentioned earlier when I talked about our Facebook community. So you might take a moment and say, you know what? Hey, while we're talking about that, if you are going to social media marketing world, post in our Facebook community that you're going. We want to know who's going to be there. In fact, we have a post that Julie Riley posted in our Facebook community. So definitely comment on that post. Let us know that you're going to be there. We definitely want to know who's going to be there. We want to make sure you come by our booth and say hi to us for sure. We're going to be posting times when our various partners are going to be at our booth, including Daniel Patel, Nick Nimmin, myself, of course, and others. So, that right there is a moment where you would pull a banner up, pull something up, do your little midstream commercial, reset the room when you're done, right? Now, the other thing I like to do when it comes to resetting the room is I like to use graphics to reset the room. So meaning, okay, great. If you're just now, what I would do here is I would say, hey, if you're just not joining us, this is the Ask StreamYard show. And today we are talking about how to reset the room when live streaming. And the reason we're talking about this is because we had this question posted in our Facebook community by Keith. He actually was live with us a few weeks ago, and I asked him to post this question in our group. And he wanted to know, during a live Q&A that's an hour long, how and when should he reset the room? So that is what we're talking about today. Did you see what I just did there? I used a series of 2 graphics. These are just 2 overlays that I have. One of them is actually the thumbnail for today's stream, which was this one, right? It's just a simple thumbnail. And then, of course, the other one we designed and made. We took a screenshot of Keith's question and we put it in this graphic. It's just an overlay in our overlay section. But you can also use videos. So you can use silent videos, you can use pre-recorded videos. I also like to use things like this graphic, which I use often as well. And I would say, hey, if you're just not joining us today, we are actually talking about resetting the room. What is it? And what is it? And what are the best methods to do it? So that is what we're talking about today. Again, I'm your host, Melanie Diane Howe. This is so fun. I love the Ask StreamYard show. So let me get to your questions. Right? So resetting the room can be done just verbally, but I love using graphics, and here's why. Because it's creating a break. The whole point of resetting the room is to create that break, get back on track, also welcome your new audience members, giving them instructions. When you use graphics, it calls more attention to what you're doing. It also just creates that break in the pattern of what we're doing, which is talking. And so use graphics like that. Those are overlays that you can use. Those are overlays you can use in StreamYard as long as you're on one of our paid plans. So you just upload it, put it in there. The video, simple video that I made in Canva, just used some animation. There's no audio with that video. So when there's video that you upload into Canva or into StreamYard, when you click on that and play it, if there's the audio, it's going to automatically mute your microphone. So what I like to do is to design these graphics, add some animations to them, and there's no audio. So I can still talk over that animated graphic. And so that's, again, just a way that you're adding a little production element, a little extra pizzazz to your live stream when it comes to resetting the room. So, all right, now if you have, great, I see some questions coming in. Stuart, I see your question. Definitely we'll get to that as well. And if we do have time, we will get to some off-topic questions. I'll prompt you if we get to that point where we have some time to do that. So definitely one of those things that we'll be doing. So, oh, look, Rachel says, awesome, that will be it. Are you going to be there, Rachel? It'd be so fun if you were. James wants to know if there's going to be snacks. So James, I'm sure there will be snacks. There will be lots of snacks. There will be snacks in liquid form and snacks in edible form, I'm sure. So we will be working on that. We'll definitely let you know what our plan is for sure. So it's going to be fun. Okay, so David says, I started using my iPad on the desk during my stream with stopwatch to set it for 1 hour when my podcast is on. It helps. Great. Yeah. Honestly, that is one of those things where another question is how often should you reset the room? To be honest with you, it kind of depends on the nature of your stream and how long your stream is. Short streams probably don't need as much of what I would call resetting of the room. Longer streams, especially streams where it might, think of it this way. Let me just back up for a second. Let's go back to that analogy of think of it as you're in a room, you're in an auditorium, and someone's walking in. Is the environment going to make it clear to them what is going on, what's happening, what they should do, and what you're talking about? It might be. Maybe there's some signage up there. Maybe there's some graphics behind you standing on stage. That might make it very welcoming for them. It makes it very easy for them to walk into the room and know what's going on, right? If it's just a big open room and there's not much there and you're sort of just like talking about whatever, you're probably going to need to let them know what's going on. So your live streams are the same. If your live stream is just a generic open Q&A, there's no specific topic, then you're going to need to let your audience know as they come, hey, we're doing live Q&A today. So if you've got any questions about marketing, live streaming, video, gear, software, any of that stuff, post them in the comments with the Q in front. I will grab it and answer your question. Or if it's very specific, you might need to say, if you're just now joining us, we're talking about this topic. If you have questions, post it. It's all about what is the environment of your stream. Do you have a banner up that literally says, have a question about today's topic? Type a Q. Like that right there, that using that banner at the bottom makes it not as important for me to provide that instruction when I reset the room. And so again, the methods of how you reset the room are all going to be based on what's the environment like, what's the description of your live stream that you put up there. Is it obvious what people are coming into? And if it is, you don't need to reset the room quite so much, right? Now, if it's not, then you're going to need to reset the room a little bit more. So again, back to how often should you reset the room? I like to reset the room during natural breaks. Maybe you just did a commercial. Maybe you just got through, if it's an hour-long Q&A, I'd say probably about every 10 to 15 minutes, you need to reset the room, right? Because that's what's going to be happening. I also would suggest you use graphics and little videos like I showed you earlier, as well as the banners inside StreamYard at the bottom for sure. Okay, let me check in on comments again. Okay, very good. I see some great questions here coming in. Okay, cool. Good questions, you guys. This is great. This is another great point that Doug is making from SmackDown Outdoors. I love this. He says, if you see a jump in the viewer numbers in the counter on the top left in StreamYard, that might be a good time to reset the room. This is such a great point. I'm so glad you said this. So what he's mentioning is that when you're live streaming in StreamYard, up in the upper left-hand corner of your studio dashboard, you are actually going to see it's going to be red and it says live. It says right now we've been live for 22 minutes. And then it has a little eyeball with a number next to it. And then it shows me the likes and stuff on Facebook. Now, if you actually hover over the eyeball and just hover your mouse over it, it's going to tell you how many people are watching on each platform where it can report back to you. Twitter and LinkedIn and Twitch, I believe, do not report back to you how many viewers, because the data goes to those platforms, but the data doesn't come back from those platforms when it comes to that information. So right now it shows that most of you are watching on YouTube, and then some of you are watching in our Facebook group, and then a lot of people are also watching on our Facebook page. So I can see that. But Doug's making a great point here. If you're live streaming and you've got 10 people on your stream, and then you look up, you're about 20 minutes in and you look up and you have 30 people, well, that's that there are 20 people that have, and again, people are going to come and go, but you have a big new audience. You've tripled your audience and they've come in, after you already started your stream. So you might need to reset the room at that point. That's a really great thing to look out for and to be thinking about when it comes to when you should reset the room. So that's such a great point. Thanks for pointing that out, Doug. It's always good to have you in the comments offering your great insights. So, okay, let's see here. Just checking in. Okay, I am going to grab these questions because I want to get to these questions. Let's see here. Stuart had the question. He said, is reset the room a technical streaming term? I've never heard that expression before. It is not a technical streaming term. It's actually a term used. You know what? It's funny. I'm going to Google it because I bet you that we can find out. Reset. I'm going to Google this. It's not a streaming term. Okay, let's see here. Here we go. It's interesting. For instance, when he finishes watching television, he places his remote back on TV stand, resetting the room. Okay, that is not what it is. Resetting the room looks like it's about also organizing your house, based on the Googles over here. So here's the deal. It's a term used in streaming, but it's also a term used in presentation, like presenting, stage performance, events. So when you're hosting an event, resetting the room is refreshing, again, just bringing things back. It's like, okay, here's why we're here. Here's what we're doing. Here's what's going on. So there's probably other terms. If anybody knows other terms, broadcasting term, question mark. It's really not a broadcasting term though. It's really a term that it's a general term. I wish I would have looked up the origin of it and how it got turned into this, but it's one of those things. Mike from Never Let the Machine. I thought of it as a banquet hall or restaurant term, getting ready for the next group. That is definitely the case as well. If you're resetting the room, you are resetting the room. So, but inside this particular format, they use it in Clubhouse too. Thank you. So I did know they used it in Clubhouse. In fact, it's reset the room, RTR. Don't they say that? Don't they use that? RTR. So it's just one of those things. You're letting people know what's going on. You're providing the new instructions. You're just getting everybody freshened up. So that's a funny thing, but it's not technically a streaming term, but it's good thought. So Kamal Tech Vlog says, what is the best time to reset the room for a 1.5 hour stream? So I think that you posted this question actually when I was talking about this. It's going to depend on the flow of your stream as well as you said, the time. But Doug made a great point. If you start to see a big change in your live viewer count, then you know that you probably are going to need to reset the room. It also depends on the environment you've created for your viewers. Do you have a banner going at the bottom? Do you have, what's the description of your stream say? Now, keep this in mind as well. You can have a really great description, but once you're live, most people do not read the description. They are going to see it and they're going to click on the video. They're not going to actually read the description. They might see a title and that's it. So you got to be thinking about some of that information when it comes to knowing what your viewers are going through as they enter your stream. So it kind of depends. I like to say every 10 to 15 minutes is not a bad idea when it comes to resetting the room. I also like to say if you're delivering key points, let's say, for example, you have 5 major bullets to your stream content, meaning you've got 5 ways to cook sweet potatoes. We're cooking sweet potatoes today. Every time you describe one of those methods and why you like it, you will reset the room at that point in between each segment. So think of those 5 ways as 5 segments, right? Those are the 5 bullets of your stream. In between each of those segments, you probably want to reset the room. Also, this is the time when you give your viewers instructions. If you want them to ask questions now, tell them to. If you want them to wait, say, hey, if you probably have questions, hang on to those questions. I'll be getting into your questions here in about 20 minutes. Or I've got 3 more tips to share with you, then I'll be getting to your questions. Again, you're giving your audience instructions. So it all depends on what you want the audience to do and how much you need to explain. Chris Gosling says, I get quite a lot of feedback from viewers on news and information live clips. Find them distracting. How best can I deal with that? News and information live clips. Well, Chris, I don't specifically know exactly what that example really references. However, if they find it distracting, what is it pulling them from? If they say it's distracting, are you playing these while you're talking? Are you maybe using them too often, too much? I will say that, depending on the nature of your stream and your audience, viewers can find certain things distracting, whereas other viewers like it. So there are some streamers who will use a lot of graphics in their stream, like a lot of things going on. They've got subscriber counts ticking. They're using all kinds of fancy stuff, and there's a lot going on. Some people just don't want that. Other people really like that. I use these lights. Like I like to use a lot of bright lights and a lot of fun things in my background. Some people don't like that. They think it's annoying and they're distracted by it. That's fine. That particular viewer type is probably not going to be a good fit for my stream and my personality. So, but Chris, if you're saying that your audience is providing you with feedback that it's distracting, then I would change it up. Maybe try something different. Again, I don't know specifically what you're referring to or why they find it distracting or whatnot, but it's one of those things where you just kind of have to try different things, right? Oh, okay. So he says, I find the feedback too distracting. When you say feedback, are you talking about comments when you're live? I will dress my pinky in a moment. Betty Talks TV. It's so funny. Okay. Hold on. Let me get back to Chris here. So Chris, okay. Trying to help you out here. So essentially, when you say the feedback is distracting, again, comments when you're live. Okay, thank you for providing it. This is what the beautiful part about being live is. I love this part, right? He asked a question. I'm asking for a little more detail. He's still here hanging out, and so we're having this conversation. If you find comments distracting, okay, so I think what you might be talking about is when you're trying to deliver content. This is actually a common thing for streamers, especially as you get started, and you got all these comments coming in. You can get distracted. It can pull you off. It does it to me. Just when I saw Petty Talks TV, it made me laugh when I saw this comment, right? When they're not talking about my pinky. That technically distracted me, right? It really comes down to practice and method. What I always recommend is looking into the camera lens as much as possible, which you should be anyway, right? When I look at the comments, look at my eyes. They're over here to the right because that's where they are. I actually have my window a little larger than I would like it to be. So now I'm looking at the comments, but I'm looking down. If I look at myself on screen, which is the habit, which is what most people do, then you're looking down. You can see those comments, right? But if you look at the camera, hi, here you are looking at the camera screen, then the lens, then you are not even looking at the comments. You might see those comments, but focus on your content, deliver the content, and then find those engagement breaks where you then go and get to those the comments and read them, right? So Chris says, I run a lot of news content and the comments are, hi, Chris, how are you? You know what? Here's the thing. There's a time for those types of conversations. So again, address the audience, have that going, say hi. You can also, I run a lot of news content. When you say I run a lot of news content, it just depends on the nature. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place on answering your question. The other thing I'll say is this. You don't have to address every comment. You can't. And in fact, especially when you have a lot of commenters, you're not going to be able to address every comment. And those of you that comment sometimes and I don't address you specifically, I'm seeing your stuff and I want to be here, but it's one of those things where it's just simply, it's not, I'm reading your comments here too. It just depends on the dialogue of your show, right? So some shows, I will literally address almost every comment I get. Other shows, I don't because I'm staying on topic. So I get the whole, how are you? People will say, oh, you look pretty today, or oh, this or that. That's all fine. I love the comments, but I'm not going to necessarily address each one of those. It just depends on what your show is, what your flow is, all of that stuff. So yes, this is great. So you can just say, I love the comments coming in. Exactly, right? One of those things that definitely, Petty Talks TV saying, I find private messages within StreamYard distracting. Comments, bring them on, please. Yeah, so comments, public comments are great. Private messages, if you have other guests in your stream, I agree. Sometimes I always let people know, like, hey, don't use the private chat as like just a conversation place, because I use it as like it's an emergency place to talk and all those things. So, okay, I saw something else though that I wanted to. I saw something else about this. I'm also pinning a couple questions that I see coming in. So Joanne is saying there's so much to keep track of when you're streaming solo. I agree. 100% I agree with that, which is why I like to use the banners for my agenda and I like to have notes down ready. And sometimes you have to have a little checklist to give yourself these reminders, right, of what you need to do and what you need to keep track of. It is one of those things, one of the natures of the beast, if you will. So this is great. So Stein makes a comment here. The transitions between on-panel guests is a great point for topic resets. Yes, I love that actually. So if you have different people in your stream in between those guests, just like when you go to an event, in between each person that comes on stage, the EMC is going to come back out and they're going to do stuff, talk about things, give instructions, whatnot. So those are also a really great place to do that. So, and very meta, but if you're just not joining us today, we are actually talking about resetting the room. We're talking about what the heck it even means, what is it, and what are the best methods to do it. So we talked about that in the beginning, what it is to reset the room. And we also talked about ways to do it. We've talked about when to do it. We've talked about why it's important to do it. But resetting the room is essentially you reminding everybody what you're talking about. This is the Ask StreamYard show. We're answering Keith's question about How often should he reset the room during a live Q&A, and how to do it. I love using graphics to reset the room like I just did there. Literally, I pulled that little thing up and then it went away. I love doing it during in between your commercials. So your midstream commercials. So if you have calls to action you want to address to your audience in the middle of your stream, reminders that you might want to pull up, those are also essentially times when you would reset the room. Let your audience know what you're talking about and what you need them to do. Right? So if you have questions about resetting the room, then you should put them in the comments with a Q in front of it. And as I'm now into the Q&A segment of today's show. So this is a question that came up. That's fine. We were talking about views earlier, but Conwall says, what counts as a view on YouTube? Trying to understand as I stream to my YouTube channel. So view counts. A view is anybody that essentially sees your stream and clicks on it, meaning they didn't just see it in the news feed, they actually clicked on it to check it out, whether it be while you're live or even after you were live. Those are views, right? Now, watch time in hours and minutes, your minutes technically do not count towards your live stream or your watch hours if people are watching while you're live, but it's the replay. We found that out just a few weeks ago. I believe it was Tinkering with Tech. I believe it was Michael Daniels who pointed that out to us, that live views don't count for watch time, but it's the replay views, those minutes go towards your minutes. So that's how that works when it comes to that. So that's kind of a weird technical thing, but I thought I'd answer it because I saw it. I feel like somebody wanted to know about my pinky, which I think is funny. And I'm grabbing a couple more questions. Okay. Good questions. Checking this out. I did see where somebody made a point earlier about you can turn commenting off. I would agree that I wouldn't do that when it comes to I definitely don't think that if you're going to be live and you turn off commenting, I feel like it's pointless to be live. I feel like you should just, unless, you're doing a live news broadcast, but I think comments are really important to have. People want to be able to comment on that stuff. But My Cluttered Garage says, my viewers have a lot of side conversations with each other. Hard to pull out comments for me, but I'm happy to foster a place for them to meet each other. Yeah. So you're going to see that sometimes conversations happen in the middle of the comments. Your community is starting to talk to each other. That's actually a good thing. But it can be challenging when you are talking about something specific and all of a sudden there's these like little side conversations happening in your comments. If that's happening, always remember that all of your viewers are seeing that conversation. And so when that happens, that's also a critical time when you might need to reset the room a little bit more than you would have. You might say, I love the conversation you guys are having. This is fantastic. But if you're just now joining us, we're talking about blah, blah, blah. Because when people arrive on your stream, they're going to see those comments. And if they see that, Joe and Tom are talking about motorcycles and you're over here talking about, shelving in your garage. Sorry, just because my cluttered garage. You might want to make sure that your new viewers, as they come in, don't think you're talking about motorcycles. You're actually talking about shelving and organizing, right? And so if those sidebar conversations are happening, that's another prompt for you that you may need to reset the room a little bit more so that everyone coming in, again, think of the environment. Think of your live video environment. What's the title of your stream? What do you have displayed on screen? And what conversations are happening in those comments? Because as people arrive, is it clear to them what's going on? And that's going to help you understand the need to reset the room when it comes to that. Okay, let me see here. We got all kinds of people. All of a sudden, we have so many people joining us now. So literally, this is pretty exciting. Okay, so I want to answer the pinky thing. Mike is so funny. I heard Mel was tangling with a bear and it bit her pinky. The bear rug should be ready next week. Definitely not. I wish that the story was that exciting. No, I broke the tip of my pinky. The very tip of my pinky is broken, and I actually had the splint off last week. My doctor said, hey, at this time, given a certain, you can start taking it off and see how it feels. It felt pretty good. I actually had it off for a few days. I had my checkup on Monday. X-ray shows that it might not be fusing correctly. So she said, get the brace back on. So annoying. Honestly, it doesn't hurt really that bad anymore, but what is annoying is typing. I still can't type with my pinky, which is really annoying and terrible, but not really a very exciting story. Happened back in December. Wish it was something really exciting, like wrestling a bear, saving a child or something like that, but it's not. But here it is. It's here. We're still hanging out with it, right? Okay. Let me see here. I want to see if I've got overlays. So interesting. Let's go. So Joanne Banco says, I need to learn how to do overlays. They're really easy. I like to make my overlays in Canva. And then you just click on them and display them and then click it again and it goes away. Okay, this is good. Sty said, my channel mods help respond to viewers' comments if in the chat if they are off topic, so I don't have to be distracted by them. The viewers then don't feel ignored. This is a really great suggestion as well. If you are getting a lot of those comments and they're distracting you as a host, but you don't want to leave your commenters hanging, you can ask moderators to be in the comments for sure. If you are finding it to be a challenge, then you might want to look at a method like that, hiring somebody or having somebody help you deal with those comments for sure. Okay, I'm going to get to some questions that I saw. This question came up. Petty Talks TV, do you prefer using video or an overlay GIF as your stinger to reset the room? What's your personal choice? So a stinger is kind of like the transition video. So I don't know that I would call any of these stingers because they're not that fancy. For me personally, it depends. So if you use a GIF file is going to loop, right? So you can use GIFs in your overlay section. So a GIF is an animation that is going to loop. I don't love GIFs for this reason. It's hard to design a GIF that is high quality, that is under 3 megabytes, that is going to be full screen, meaning at that 1080 pixel size. I don't love that. So I don't like to use GIFs for that. But I do like to use a video file. So I create a video file, which this one right here is a video file technically, and it animates in. And then it's going to fade out at the end of that video. Now, this is about a 9-second video file. So when it's done, it's going to go away, as you just saw. So I like to use that instead of a GIF for that thing. Now, a regular, that's a video file that goes into the video clips. It's muted. I personally really like it. However, you have to know when it's going to end. So you just need to know, like, it's about 9 seconds. Make sure it's enough time for you. If you need something a little bit more variable, meaning it's not going to end and go off screen on its own, then you would want to use an actual overlay like this. So this is just a static image. I leave it here as long as I want, and then I click it again and it goes away. I can leave it there for a while if I need to like adjust something, rub my nose, take a sip of water, whatever I need to do, I can leave it there and I can completely be in control of when that's going to come down. Whereas a video file, I could click it and then I could click it again and it goes away. But at the end of the video file, there is a fruit fly flying around my face right now. Sorry. If at the end of that video file, it's gone. So always keep that in mind. If you maybe need more time, more variability, more control, then you might want to go with a GIF or a static image in your overlay section. But that was a good question. Oops. I didn't mean to click on that. And I already clicked out of there. There we go. So that was a good question by Petty Talks TV. Okay. So I saw another question. So Hugh Anthony Riley says, what would be a good room reset in terms of a music show, guitar tours, etc.? Ooh, that's a really interesting question. I would say guitar tours. I mean, when it comes to resetting the room for that, something on brand. Like if you are, I mean, can you record like a fun little clip, you can use videos with audio to reset the room, by the way. You can totally do that. Something on brand is what I would say for you, Hugh. Guitar tours. I mean, I definitely like the idea of using some sort of graphic, maybe even like with some audio, like a little guitar solo, and then just do that. I don't know. I mean, just do something on brand. Have some fun with it is what I would say. That's what I would suggest for sure. Dylan Dunn says, why can't I add multiple screen share? I stream Sims, 4 with different people sometimes. So yeah, you can only share one screen at a time per user. That is just a limit. That is just the way that it works. If you needed, that's an interesting feature, meaning to have multiple options when it comes to screen sharing. I would definitely suggest that you put that in our feature request. So to do that, you can actually go to StreamYard.com/contact and click on the link there. You'll see a link for feature requests. If you want additional screen shares, then I would add it. I would add that as a feature request for sure. It's an interesting case study that might be interesting. So Kamal Tech Vlog says, I think I missed out on it. What can be used as an in-stream commercial? Okay, so this is really interesting. So an in-stream commercial, you could just pull a graphic up, you could pull a banner up as a reminder, as a call to action, or you can even create videos. You could have a 30-second video. You might say, hey, we want to tell you all about social media marketing world and how we're going to be there. Check out this clip. Click, play it, play the commercial, done, right? An actual commercial. So I definitely think that you can get really creative here. And again, it's going to come back down to what kind of content are you creating? What kind of streams are you creating? What kind of experience are you wanting to create for your viewers? So get creative with it and have some fun with it for sure. That's what I always say. Okay, let me check in on more comments, see if we have any additional comments. Let's see. Manny behind the mic. Yes, I've recently had almost 200 viewers and they are conversing about something related, but still distracting. It can be challenging. I will say, as you grow your streams and as you get more and more viewers watching you live, your comments can become slightly challenging. And as you do that, as you grow your channel and as your live stream views, your viewers grow, you may need to start to look at having a moderator or even a backstage producer to help you so that you're not having to worry about the comments. That backstage producer is going to, be displaying comments that they feel are relevant. Their focus is literally that, while your focus is your audience. The other thing that is really great about StreamYard is, of course, the feature of starred comments. So if that backstage producer, they can actually be in your live stream studio, not on camera, and they can be pinning comments for you so that you can just simply focus on that queue instead of the entire queue. That's a really great method. And so just again, as you get a larger audience, you may need to get some help, and that's actually great. So super, super cool. Could be really awesome for you. Let's see. I'm just reading your guys' comments. You guys are pretty funny today. This is a great question. So Tim says, do you use a Stream Deck to change your screens as you stream? So Tim, I actually do use a Stream Deck, but when I stream on my own channel, I use OBS virtual camera. And so I have a few scenes set up in there, and I will use the Stream Deck to control those scenes in there. Now, of course, the Stream Deck is now compatible with StreamYard because StreamYard now supports hotkeys, and you can program those hotkeys and those functions to your Stream Deck. This thing is driving me crazy. I'm like, I don't even know where it is. It's March. Why is there a gnat flying around? I don't know what's going on. Usually those show up in the summer. But anyway, the hotkeys is its current evolution, its current evolvement, right? So you can actually, as things change with StreamYard, there may be more hotkeys. There may be hotkeys, for example, that actually will have more control over changing overlays in StreamYard. But right now, it doesn't quite do that. So I do use it, but I use it with OBS virtual camera. So it's kind of a little bit different, right? A little bit different. How much did you pay the fruit fly to reset the room? Man, I'm not paying any money for that right there, like literally. So I want that thing to go away. Okay, let me check out your questions. Let me see. Let's see if we have any questions. So Hugh says, how would I use a video insert if I'm on the free plan? So the only way you can play a video midstream if you're on a free plan, would be to use the share function. So down at the bottom of your studio, when you click on share, it's going to actually have video file, and that would be a video file on your actual computer. So that is going to be different. It's the share feature, meaning so when you share it, it's going to show up. If you wanted that to happen and you wanted it to be full screen, you would share the video from your computer, and then just go full screen with it. And that's how you would do it on the free plan. Of course, if you upgrade, it's much easier. You can just simply upload videos in the video tab, and it's great. You just click on the video, play it, click it off, it goes away. Way easier, way simpler, way faster than using that video share. But if you are on the free plan, you will be limited that you can't use the video tab. So it might be one of those things that you would maybe want to consider an upgrade. But for now, if not, you would just have to use the share feature and play a video on your actual computer. Joanne says she used the starred comments and it helped a lot. It's great. I love the starred comments. Rich Tips Official, how can I put my OBS audio to the StreamYard live stream while using OBS virtual camera? I have not, I believe there is a way for OBS to output the audio now. I think there's a plugin you have to download to do this. I've not done it yet, so I don't know how, but I would definitely Google that. I would Google it for sure. You might want to check that out. For me, I use the Beacon mixer now with the Beacon application. And when I go into StreamYard, when I select my microphone, I actually select that interface, and anything that I'm controlling with the Beacon is what's going to come out in my StreamYard stream. See if there's any more questions before we get out of here for the day. Randomly Ronnie Jr. says, do you have any episodes with guides on how to use the hardline Ethernet? Honestly, so what you would want to do is it is best to be hardwired in anytime you're going to be doing something like streaming. All you have to do is have the Ethernet cable, and you have to just make sure that you go out of the modem or the router directly into your computer. So your router, right, is probably what you have. So you have wireless. You're going to make sure you put the cable from that into your computer. And literally, you may need to go into your computer and say, I want to default to Ethernet, not wireless. And that's as simple as that. This is a great point. So James Dwayne said that, you could also do a video inside a PowerPoint presentation. You totally could do that. And when you share your PowerPoint, share your screen, when you share your screen and you play the PowerPoint, it would do the same thing as well. That would also work for sharing a video on the free plan. All right, let me see here. Probably time for one or two more questions if I see any. Okay. So the news unit, I see your questions about I'm also capturing video in the Chrome tab function and then changing tabs. StreamYard will not allow a change of tab without losing the audio, and you have to stop. So the news unit, this is not a StreamYard. This isn't a StreamYard issue. This is actually a Chrome issue. So when you share your screen and you want to share just the application, you're just sharing a Chrome tab. You select the audio. You're right. When you change tabs, it isn't going to carry over because you're just sharing that one tab. The way around this is that you need to share your entire screen. So if you share your entire screen, then click System Audio. Anything played on anything that you pull up is going to play. So you would be able to switch between tabs when it comes to the Chrome tabs and the different things you're playing there. So that would be the way around it. Okay. All right. I'm just looking. We Play Games Network says, does StreamYard plan to offer an option to use an RTMP and StreamKey to effectively use StreamYard as a pass-through for multi-platform streaming, thus eliminating the need for the studio? There are some things in the roadmap in regards to things like this. I can't specifically confirm if it's what you're referring to. Thus eliminating the need for the studio. I believe I know what you're referring to, and I do believe that is in the roadmap. But but I can't confirm that. Yes, the news unit. It is a limitation from the browsers and the way that the audios are routed. So again, regardless of the browser, sorry, when I said Chrome limitation, it's really just an application limitation. You just need to share your whole screen. So try that for sure. Stuart says grouping Chrome tabs works best for sharing. So you can try that too. And yes, 2 monitors. 2 monitors is key. I agree. Okay. Oh my gosh. We've been here for almost an hour. We're going to go ahead and close this one out. So if you did join us towards the end, we were talking about resetting the room today, which was very meta because I am resetting the room, talking about resetting the room. So it was a little bit quirky in that aspect, but it's because we did get this great question from Keith. He actually asked the question, hey, what's for an hour-long stream? Should I reset the room? How do I reset the room? When do you do it? So we talked about some different strategies about resetting the room using graphics and, of course, methodologies. And we also defined what the heck resetting the room is. It's kind of just a term that's been adopted and used. And it's essentially you refreshing the stage, letting your audience know what you're talking about, and, of course, giving them any instructions in the moment if that is needed when you are doing that. So we are... I want to make sure everybody knows, too, that we will be live again next week at the same time, same place, 11 a.m. Eastern time. That is actually the time when we always go live. But also, if you want to hear about the latest features, if you want to be able to actually provide feedback, sometimes you can actually literally give your feedback directly to Dan and Gage when they go live on Sunday nights for the town hall. Those are 9 o'clock Eastern time. Tune into those because that's the first place you're going to hear about new features coming out. They are always working on new features and updates constantly. And sometimes they're little features, sometimes they're big features, but that town hall is the first place where you're going to get a glimpse at what they're working on, because sometimes they actually will say, hey, if we were to, add background music, how would you use it? And then, they got feedback and now there's background music in all StreamYard accounts. So that is definitely something I always like to make sure everybody knows to tune into, because it's your place where you get to talk to Dan and Gage and help them steer this product. And they also are going to give you glimpses and sneak peeks into what they're working on. So, and then of course, as I said, next Wednesday, I'll be live with you once again for another episode of Ask StreamYard. And if you haven't already, go over to our Facebook group, go to Facebook and just search StreamYard community, and you will see this pop up. And I want you to join that community because it's a great place for you to ask your questions. Some of you had questions today that I didn't get to. If you do have questions that we didn't talk about today, post them in the group. So many helpful people in there. Many of you are in that group, always helping everyone out all the time. So definitely be a part of the community because that's where all the fun stuff is happening. And then, of course, here's the other thing I want to tell you. When you go to that community and you join it, go up to the top of the community scroll, you'll see some pinned posts. Julie Riley is posting every month free graphic assets that we are providing to you. So little overlays, little graphics that you can use, countdown timers that you can use for free in your own streams. And so when you join the community, that's one of the perks that you get of being a part of that community. So with that being said, everybody, we're going to get out of here for today. I hope you have an awesome day. And don't forget to just go do something awesome. Go live, let us know about it, post about it in our community. All right, everybody, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.